Today on Public Research.
This is a process which, revolutions are not easy, and they can go south, go sour very quickly. And I think if ever there was a moment that they could do it, I think it's now, because one, there's no legitimate government in Haiti whatsoever, a total void. Two, the empire is completely tied up with the problems in Gaza and Israel, Ukraine, Yemen. Blinken is running around like a fireman trying to put out fires. And they're throwing, I think, a completely inadequate solution at this problem, which is the 200 Kenyans are supposed to arrive in Haiti on the 26th of this month. 200 Kenyans, what is that supposed to scare them? These guys aren't scared. They've been fighting. They're battle hardened. They're ready for this. And, basically the Haitian people are sick and tired of foreign military interventions, and I think they're going to fight.
We talk about a nation in crisis, Haiti, the world's first Black independent republic, with Kim Ives, editor of Haiti Liberté, who joins me to discuss his documentary, Another Vision, which offers a portrait of the polarizing figure of Jimmy Chirize, also known as Barbecue, and why he believes the U.S. fears a people's revolution in Haiti. Can we start with maybe your background? How did you come into contact with Haiti for the first time?
All right. Yes, I was pretty much a typical WASP middle-class kid growing up in suburban New York when my mom met Haiti's foremost communist revolutionary of the day, who was working to overthrow the Duvalier regime. And that more or less exploded our nuclear family, and I ended up being recruited into the struggle for Haiti's liberation, which at that time was overthrow of the Duvalier dictatorship, which ruled Haiti from 1957 to 1986. And that happened. And then it became the struggle to found a democratic nationalist government in Haiti. And so it is sort of the second half of my life or experience in the Haitian trenches has been trying to establish that democratic nationalist government, which was originally Jean-Bertrand Aristide, elected in 1990 and came to power in 91, again in 2000 and 2001. And now we're in the midst of maybe the most radical revolution I've been at ringside for, which is the, rising up really of Haiti's underclass with arms. And they are about to go to battle with the proxy force that the U.S. has put together to try to subdue them.
One thing I've noticed is there's, for a small country, there seems to be a lot of people around the world who care deeply about Haiti. Is it a special place?
Well, Haiti is a special. I mean, it's really, you have to think, it's the polar opposite of the United States. We are the world's, or have been until just about now, when we're in some sort of free fall, the world's richest planet, richest nation on the planet, founded by slave owners, and based on the subjugation of the Native Americans, their eradication, their genocide, we could say, the first genocide, and the enslavement of Africans. And Haiti was the polar opposite. They named their island Haiti, which was the original Arawak Indian name, in honor of them. They held them up as a great people and honored them. And it was founded by self-freed slaves, the only successful slave revolution in history. So their um, experience, their history has been the reverse of this. They've always been the target of the U.S. since their birth in 1804, when Jean-Jacques Dessalines on January 1st declared the first free nation of Latin America. We could really say the Americas in general, because the U.S. was half enslaved. And basically said anybody who sets foot here is free. We have no slavery. We will not tolerate it. We will fight. And anybody who comes here will be freed. And for that, they were targeted by the U.S. really throughout its history, but particularly when slavery was in force in the U.S. up till the Civil War. But even after that, that began the period of gunboat diplomacy and the U.S. Imperial project beginning. So Haiti's culture and its whole vibe, if you can say, is very much the opposite of ours. We have this sort of very deeply ingrained frontier spirit, do it alone, make your own fortress. I'm making my stand here. We build big fences. We have Haiti is a very communal society. There's, a thing where people share their food. They might be hungry and not have much, but they'll give it to their neighbor or somebody passing through, a complete stranger, if they don't have something to eat. These kind of little things, these little hieroglyphs of the culture, add up to totally enchant Americans who say, wow, this is really a special place, and a very deep spirituality. Because Haiti, you probably got a little more than you bargained for in this answer, but Haiti had voodoo was the religion which kind of was born in Haiti, but it came from some of the African religions, merged with Christianity, and became a religion that really helped the slave masses overcome slavery and carry out their struggle. So there's a very deep spiritual element to Haitian culture and society. And a lot of people, even in the very educated upper classes, still hold various spiritual beliefs or religious beliefs. And yeah, so that's I think what makes Haiti. I maybe didn't go through that. I mean, I love Haiti, yes, but I was sort of born into it because I grew up essentially in a Haitian family with Haitian step brothers and sisters, and therefore I ended up somehow being inducted into Haitian society and culture at an early age.
Uh, that was a. You don't have to apologize. That was a fascinating answer. I didn't know that about your background. That's
Yeah.
sounds like a movie I would like to watch. That's I don't know if you've written a memoir, but that's very
Yeah, it's
interesting.
often, yeah, if history will give me a chance, I'll try to do so.
So when did you first visit? What year?
I first visited in 1977. It was my first mission. I was sent down. Well, I began doing sort of solidarity work with a group of Haitians and Americans who had a sort of a communal household. Uh, my mom and Ben Dupuis, my mentor, stepfather, sort of were off in the world raising consciousness and money for their revolution. And we, mostly teenagers, were tasked with spreading the word and raising consciousness on college campuses. So I went to see a lot of my friends from high school and so forth. And, we were holding meetings and showing slideshows. And then my stepfather came back and said, we can't do it with a slideshow. We need a film. We have to make a 16 millimeter film, which we can show. I said, okay, I'll work on that. And so that's how I was sent to Haiti the first time, was really to try to see how we could do this under the dictatorship, because it was very different back in the day, as you may know, where the 16 millimeter camera is quite big. The film rolls are very big. You have a big Nagra recorder on your hip. And so you can't be very discreet filming in Haiti. And you had the Tontomacoutes, which were the paramilitary force of the dictatorship, who basically were always on the watch. And so it was said you couldn't do a film in Haiti. So we needed to find a cover. So I went in 1977 to begin the process of trying to find a way we could go in. We were going to go in as an NGO, sort of, hair type NGO, but we ended up going in as an assembly industry filming crew, assembly industry promotion or publicity crew. And so between 77 and 1982, I made many trips, some of them preparatory, and then the actual filming trips. And this was all to produce a film called Bitter Cane, which won a second prize at Cannes in 1983. It just has been re-released. It's just been remastered because it was a very poor, we had no money back then, very poor quality transfer. So it's been re-released and is about to show at the Brooklyn Academy of Music in June. We're very excited about that, which is a very prestigious venue here in New York. And hopefully it will have a second life. So 1977 was the beginning, and through 82, I was making trips often in incognito, we could say. You had less restrictions at the time on, passports and so forth. You could just go with a driver's license to Haiti. And then after, of course, the Duvalier dictatorship fell in 1986, the paper I was working for at the time, after we did the film, a paper started immediately in 1983, Haiti Progrès, and we set up an office in Haiti. So basically from 1986, when Duvalier fell, through today, these past 40 years, I've been visiting Haiti quite a bit.
Haiti today versus when you first visited, what is it? Is it worse, or where are we in that graph of suffering?
Well, I'd say, like almost most of the world, most of Latin America, surely, it's worse today, because it has been more smashed by the there's a African proverb which says, when elephants fight, the grass gets trampled. And really that's what's happened in Haiti. Is just going back to the timeline we had before, Duvalier fell in 1986 because there was a paradigm change in the way the US ruled Latin America and the world. It used to use tin horn dictators like Duvalier, like Pinochet, like Somoza in Nicaragua, or Batista in Cuba, Marcos in the Philippines. And around that time, in the early 80s, it really started before, but the US started to rethink its strategy, because these tin horn dictators were producing too many revolutionaries, too many Che Guevaras, too many, uprisings in Africa, Angola, Mozambique, South Africa. In Central America, you had El Salvador, Nicaragua, etc. So what happened was they said, okay, we're going to have elections, what Edward Herman calls demonstration elections, where basically they do it just like here, the candidate with the most money wins. and then they would be protected not by the army, but by the uh, International Peacekeeping Force, the UN, right? And so Haiti, they thought was going to be easy, and they said, okay, we're going to show Duvalier the door. So the U.S. kind of helped show him the door, even though the people were rising up already, um, and they weren't able to put in their World Bank economists that they'd handpicked, and it ended up being Aristide, who foiled U.S. election engineering and came to power. So you had two basic uh, coming to power of the people's candidate and two coups d'etats followed by occupations. So this really ravaged Haiti. So the country that I first visited in 1977 was really the old Haiti, which had, functioning sort of main drag and little businesses, and it still made clothing of some sort and had little small industry here and there. But between the battles of crushing this nationalist upsurge in Haiti and the ravages of neoliberalism, which was really introduced into Haiti in 1986 after Duvalier left, because the US, to support Duvalier, had set up all kinds of state industries, a flour mill, cement factory, telephone company, electricity, everything was state. They did it like the Soviet Union did, where they had, sort of the state sector. But capitalism was in a crisis at the time. And, they couldn't really have inter-imperialist wars anymore, as the First and Second World War were. But the economists at the World Bank and, the Bilderberg and wherever else looked at the world and said, you know what? A quarter to a third of the world economy is state companies. Let's take those over. Let's privatize those. And that became the big push to privatize and take over anything state, right? That was how capitalism could keep growing, was basically eat the state industries. So Haiti was a target for that. They had to try to try to privatize all those industries. And that impoverished even more the country, because now the flour mill, which used to be a great flour mill, made pretty cheap flour, was destroyed. Henry Kissinger was on the board of that. The cement factory, Haiti is made out of limestone, and it had the biggest cement factory in the Caribbean. Again, privatized, closed, shuttered. Haiti has to import cement now. So all of these things, again, you're getting a long answer to a short question, but all of these things continued to degrade the Haitian economy. And at the same time, you had the US degrading the Haitian government and making it weaker and weaker. They said, we have to have a new form of governance. And that became basically NGOs. We're going to have everything done, not by the state, not by the government, because they wanted to undermine Aristide or any potential Aristides, but by NGOs. And so Haiti became literally the republic of NGOs, more NGOs per capita than any country in the world. So things are terrible now. It's basically, there is no state, there is no government, there's no elected officials, no services, nothing works. The place is a total wreck. And that's why we see a revolution happening today.
There were many jarring parts of your documentary, which everybody should watch. It's called Another Vision. You could find it on YouTube. It's in 3 parts, and you'll learn a lot if you're like me and not especially well versed in this. But there was a lot of jarring scenes. But one of the most was there was just a shot in it of like one of the prosecutors in Haiti for the Justice Department or whatever it's called in Haiti, and it was a guy, and on the wall somebody had spray painted justice next to, I don't know if you remember that.
Maybe I'm trying to think which scene that is, but I mean, there's a lot of graffiti in Haiti, so I might not have even
Yeah, but
noticed
this
it.
was
But
like the official government guy, and it's just spray paint.
yeah,
Um, uh,
yeah, I didn't even
it,
see. You see, that's you're like the outside expert coming in and seeing a detail which
yeah,
even I didn't haven't noticed.
it,
Yeah.
so, like when you went there in '77, how much
Mhm.
safer was Haiti than today, or was
Well,
it?
it was different because it was a dictatorship, and the Tontamakuts were almost like a criminal outfit, but nobody else could do crime. So things were pretty safe. You could walk around, go anywhere. You weren't usually going to get robbed. I mean, there probably was a little bit, but the Makuts were the ones who kept order. It was a terror that they maintained. And if somebody did rob somebody and the Makuts got, they might execute you right on the spot. At one point when we were filming, we had it was basically two of us. It was myself and the cameraman. And I went up to go try to set up an interview with a coffee broker upstairs, and we were in one of the big markets. And so the car was, surrounded by teeming people, and I left uh, the cameraman in the car, and the guy came up and beckoned to him and said, check your tire. And he got out and looked, and out the back of the car went all the magazines and the film, and it was terrible. I came back down and he said, "Oh my God, we've had a disaster. It shoots over because we just got robbed." And I said, "Oh my God, what?" And then there's this sort of uh, commotion in the crowd, and here's this guy brought up, and he's bleeding, and he's been slapped and everything, and they proudly present us with all the stolen merchandise and give it to us, and they take the guy off and beat him. So it wasn't just the Makuts, but even the population made sure there was no crime, like this guy who they saw come in there and do that. And they captured him, and so there wasn't much crime. There wasn't really. And a little bit, that's what you see in Another Vision. It's where the people themselves organize to stop crime. Criminals start to emerge because of the debilitation that I just described of the state. No money, too few cops. I mean, all Haiti is like 9,000 cops for 12 million people on a country that's the size of Maryland. So they've got like a third of the number of cops that you have in New York City. Well, not even a quarter. New York City, I think, has about 40,000 cops. So all of this is to say that, yeah, things were much safer there. One, because of the Makuts. Two, because the people lived in terror and basically would auto punish anybody who did any stealing. But all of that has fallen away over this past 40 years, 50 years almost, as everything's been degraded and debilitated.
Could you travel there today? Would you travel there?
Today, oh yeah, I do. I mean, we do for filming. I go as a journalist. I go often with usually these days. I often go with my colleague Dan Cohen, who is, you probably know him, very intrepid, excellent, investigative journalist who I met after Jovenel Moise's assassination, and he's gone on to become not just an expert in um, Israel and Gaza, but now on Haiti too. So in many ways, we are, it always sounds worse from a distance, right? And the Haitian people are fundamentally very upright, very correct, very they're not um, prone to disorder. They like things to be orderly, and so you see some journalists go down. Yeah, I'm in the most dangerous place in the world. That's baloney. Haiti is, to me, a well or what's how would I describe it? The people um, look out for you. And especially if you're going into, say, the neighborhood of Jimmy Cherizier, who is the number one sort of law and order guy in that part of town, you know, you're totally safe. It's like the old Haiti when you go into, as people will see in another vision, it's like the old Haiti when you go into Delma 6, Delma 4, Delma 2, you know, people out in the street relaxing, you know, flirting, playing dominoes, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, it's possible for me to go there. Yes.
Is it worse today than, let's say, 2011, like a year after the earthquake?
Well, after the earthquake, there was a lot of damage in Port-au-Prince. A lot of the buildings, which didn't have steel rebar, many of them, fell down and were basically rubble. So there was a lot of sort of logistical problems moving around, etc. And but there was relatively little looting, you know, very
There was
relatively.
still state capacity.
There was some state capacity. Plus, you had at that time the military occupation of the MINUSTA was still in place. That began in 2004 and didn't end until 2017. So you had that in place. So a lot of the state order has been, you know, imposed from abroad by the U.S. through the United Nations originally, and now they're trying to do it through this new multinational security support force that they're trying to build with Kenya and 6 other nations.
So I want to bring us up to sort of closer to the present so we can talk about your film. So let me just talk about how I became familiar with the main subject of your film, which is this figure known as Barbecue. I think the first time I saw him was when those Mennonite missionaries got kidnapped in Haiti, and I remember
2 years ago.
Yeah, and I watched a bunch of videos, and it was just like, yeah, and the fuel thing was going on. I was just, you know, like, this country can't catch a break. And so I started diving into it, and I remember seeing, they would just show, well, there's this gang called I'm going to get these names wrong, so please correct me.
Mawozo. Yeah.
400
Mawozo.
Yeah, I'm going to butcher this, sorry.
Yeah, sure.
And then they would say, well, there's them, the 400
Mawozo. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's this barbecue guy. It's like 2 different gangs, and they're both bad, and they're both hurting. And they just showed these pictures of Barbecue, you know, with the gun. So that's how I knew him. It's just a gang leader.
Yeah.
And your film is really interesting because it's about that figure who's described regularly as just a gang leader, sort of this criminal thug sort of figure. But your film is taking, to say the least, a different take on that. I actually wanted to play a clip from Another Vision, if you didn't mind.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So this is one of the most interesting parts of your documentary, in my opinion.
Sprawling slums of tin shacks make up much of Port-au-Prince. Residents live among lakes of stagnant water, breeding mosquitoes that carry malaria and dengue fever. Children play next to sewage-choked canals. Cleaning them is an endless task. Mountains of stinking garbage line streets and alleyways, festering for months on end without collection. Many burn around the clock, picked over by beggars and dogs. But in Cherizier's Lower Delma, the situation is different.
Ça te fait partie de Delma 6, Delma 8, yon l'autre vision. Comme si on l'autre vision, tant qu'au côté nous est là, gouvernement, l'État, pas venir faire rien pour nous. Si nous regardons sous l'État, si nous regardons sous gouvernement, quartier nous pas jambe propre. Qu'on y a diaspora, moun Delma 6, moun Delma 8, qui a vivre à l'étranger.
I should say, just for people listening to this that don't speak French, this is in full translation, but he says this is Barbecue talking about this cleanup project in this neighborhood, and
Tant qu'on côté nous est
he
là,
says
gouvernement, l'État.
the state doesn't do anything for us in this area. So basically, they had to do it themselves, and it's showing a very clean neighborhood, quite the contrast. That was sort of amazing to see. First thing I should ask, just to be devil's advocate, is did you? I'm sure you did, but did you verify he wasn't just showing you this one nice street? You know.
Oh no, we'd been there. We'd been filming there quite a bit. Over the previous weeks. I think that I don't remember which trip, but that was probably our second trip. And the neighborhood is extremely well kept, very clean. As we didn't even know that. I mean, we had come to, I think, say goodbye on our way to the airport, and we saw this going on, and we just said, oh, let's film this. So this is just one of those things, and you as a filmmaker probably know that, sometimes you just see something, you go, wow, that's something, and then we just almost spontaneously. So this was very much, as you can see, he's kind of got his ear, he was listening to the radio, and he's dressed kind of in his Sunday morning relaxing outfit. We really had noticed when we first got there how clean it was. I mean, I did when I first went there in 2021, and then in April, and then when Dan and I were filming in July and August, and on subsequent occasions we've been filming. It's always very well kept, and this is the whole sort of lower Delma area, from Delma 6, which is the neighborhood where we are right there. That's the street where we are, down to Delma 4 and Delma 2, which are further down. So yes, it's representative, and it's real.
I should back up. Why don't you just explain another vision, and maybe like how you got to first encounter barbecue?
Yeah. Well, just going back to your original framing of Katsa Maozo, which was one of the criminal gangs in barbecue, were conflated. And people can go to the Haiti Liberté website, and they can see the address I gave to the Security Council, the UN Security Council, on December 21st, 2022. And they had just, called for, or the US had just called for an intervention via their puppet there, a guy, Ariel Henry. And my main message to the Security Council was they are giving you a half-truth. They are twisting things, because they're just calling all the people in the poor neighborhoods who have weapons gangs. They're criminalizing the entire underclass of Haiti. And it's not like that at all. It's much more complex, because yes, you have some criminals, but there is a whole other half of the society which are fighting the criminals and trying to basically keep order. And it's a lot like the Old West in the US, where you had the bad guys and you had the vigilantes, fighting, towns, got to check your holster at the door, partner. And so you had this battle. So it's as if we were to say everybody in the Old West was a criminal because everybody had a 6-shooter on his hip. No, Haiti is in the midst of this battle. And so Cherizier, interestingly, the US was the first to see the danger in him, because we here at Haiti Liberté newspaper, the largest Haitian weekly, drank the Kool-Aid in the beginning. We just assumed, yeah, the guy's a bad guy, he's a criminal, and one day my director sat me down and he said, Kim, I think we got it all wrong. This guy is interesting, and he's, things he's saying on YouTube, because the guy took to social media and started to put out all explanations about what he was doing and how he saw things, etc. And I watched some of that, but he said, I want you to go down and meet with the guy and see if he's real, which I did in April 2021, as I told you. And I came back to Bethany after spending 2 days with the guy. And everybody's head exploded when I said, yeah, I'm going to go see barbecue and talk to him. Oh my God, are you crazy? What? But I saw that he was really genuine. He was real, and that he had a coherent vision. And that was the beginning of our correcting our understanding and starting to really understand the intricacy of what was going on. And then 4 months later, 3 months later, Jovenel Moïse was assassinated. And that's when things really kicked off. I did an interview with Dan Cohen, who I mentioned before. And after the interview, he said, oh my God, Kim, I have to, go with you to Haiti because this sounds just amazing, and I said, okay, let's go. And we did. And we started this. He was working with Mint Press at the time, a sort of alternative outlet. And this was just going to be like a little 15-minute, report on Haiti, 20 minutes, stand up. You can see it in that second chapter. He's just going around because we were just, figuring we're just going to do like a 60-minute thing, But of course, the film grew and grew and grew. And he's a real terrier of a journalist, and everything, we started to see, well, we have to explain this, and now we have to give that. And of course, the situation was unfolding as we were doing it. Jovenel was killed. Cherizier was saying, listen, I'm not for Jovenel, I'm not for the opposition, I'm for the people. We want to lift ourselves up. And then Jovenel was killed. So all these things are happening, and we're kind of filming, and it extended. So it ended up a 2.5-hour film. And in the course of filming that, we really got to know Cherizier very well and look at it closely, and other people too in other neighborhoods. We said, well, no foreigners are going to sit and watch a 2.5-hour film on Haiti. We're going to have to break it up into parts so they can watch it in 3. So that's how we ended up making 3 episodes.
I heard you compare, and I should just say, if anybody's confused, Cherizier is barbecue.
Cherizier, yeah, barbecue, right?
Yeah. I heard you compare him to Mao, right, on Democracy Now!
On Democracy Now!, right. Well, yeah.
What is his vision?
Well, he is an autodidact. He's not like a college student who's gone and, read some Che Guevara or Marx or Lenin or anything like that. He experienced it and lived it and is trying to understand it. And we here at Haiti Liberté, who come from more of that kind of background, the traditional sort of leftist formation, which makes you see the problems of capitalism and so forth, are trying to accompany him. And, but he essentially is somebody who came to it. Marx and Lenin, they said that, you have the masses, but they need the revolutionary intelligentsia, basically the petty bourgeois who, go to school and college and read books and understand, to sort of guide them. And, so the idea of a vanguard party, which is made up of college professors and, people who have it. but he's really right from the working class. He's from the poorest of the poor. He grew up in the gutter, as you see from the film. And, he sort of taught himself. So this is the real McCoy, this guy. And a lot of his reflexes, you say, well, they could be improved. But, he has a very deep, good sense of his class interests and the interests of the people around him who are of his class. So he's not. The comparison to Mao was simply on the tactic that he used, because just to jump up to the present, Haiti until February 29th was basically under the rule of this puppet called Ariel Henry, who was a longtime U.S. agent, we could say, who they installed as the prime minister and was going to be the one to carry out the election. In Haiti, they call it a selection. They put a little S in front of it. Carry out the election to put in the next president. And their end goal, we can come back to this, is to put in place a thing called the Global Fragility Act, which is where U.S. troops would be based in Haiti, and Haiti would be put on a lifeline of USAID surplus grains, and the people would go to work in sweatshops working for $5 a day. So that was the plan. But then Cherizier had been trying in the fall of 2021, in the fall of 2022, when you took notice of Haiti with the kidnapping and the fuel crisis challenge. He tried on those 2 autumns really to overthrow Ariel, but he couldn't do it, because what the government and the oligarchy would do is they would start pumping money and ammo and guns into the criminal gangs, and they would attack him and hit him from behind. And so he could never take on Ariel because the criminal gangs were there. And he came to the conclusion that the only way he was going to be able to do it was to unite with them and convince them that, listen, it's in your interest too. They're just using you. They're going to discard you. They'll even kill you. You have all the interest to align with me, and we put our forces together, kick out Ariel, and put in place a popular government which has our interests at heart. So we don't have to be going, you don't have to be going, I should say, to go do your crimes. And, we can have the old Haiti that we all like, where people can go have an ice cream cone in the central square and watch a movie and so on and so forth. So that came about basically in February. And we're just about to release, Dan and myself, Haiti Liberté and Uncaptured Media, episode 5, which will be episode 5 of this series. We had one that was released unredacted. We call that episode 4. So this will be episode 5, which basically explains what I'm telling you about now. So he basically united with them. And I was comparing that to Mao's tactic in the early 40s. Chiang Kai-shek was his mortal enemy, was a rival for power, and he joined with him to drive out the Japanese. So I was saying that Cherizier basically borrowed a page from Mao, from history, and said, I have no choice, but I have to ally with my enemies. And he understands that further down the road, he may have trouble with some of them. But this is also the story of Haiti, because the Haitian Revolution is also very complex. You had the formerly enslaved masses, which were most of the country, but you had another class, which was called the affranchis, the freedmen. And many times these were the children of colonists with slave mothers. So they were what is called mulatto, which is kind of a pejorative term, but like Obama, right? A white parent and a black parent. So many of these affranchis were very wealthy, and some even had owned slaves. But the French Revolution had the words of liberté, égalité, fraternité, right? So the slave masses were interested in the liberté side of things. They wanted liberty, not to be enslaved. But the affranchis were looking at the égalité because as half African men and women, they didn't have all the rights of a Frenchman. So they joined together finally on May 18th. In 2 weeks, we'll have the anniversary, 1803. Jean-Jacques Dessalines, who represented the slave masses, and Alexandre Pétion, who represented the affranchis, joined their forces. And they said, we have to join together, even though we fought each other many times, to drive out the French and make our own nation. So they did, and they succeeded. And Haiti became the first independent nation of Latin America due to that union. So it is true that Pétion, 2 years later, killed Jean-Jacques Dessalines, and the whole thing degenerated. But anyway, it's all to say that was why I compared him to Mao.
Yeah, and then the Haitian Revolution was basically the how would I describe it? It's sort of the waking nightmare of every southern
slave owner
plantation. I mean, this is the thing that kept them awake at night, I'm sure, for many decades. Yeah. And sort of drove, I would imagine, sort of their a lot of the rhetoric of what they feared.
Sure. And an example to the slaves as well. They were very careful. Any ship that had come through Haiti, they made sure to Gerald Horne, the prolific historian of University of Houston, has a book on the Haitian Revolution and explains how they would basically quarantine those boats because they didn't want the word of the Haitian Revolution getting out.
I want to play a clip from another episode of episode 2 of Another Vision about how sort of the mainstream media version of barbecue, and it actually ironically touches on a media entity that sort of ended today, I think.
Vice.
Yeah. And they had some good journalists. They had some good journalists. So I'm a little bit sad, but
yeah.
While Pierre Esperance's RNDDH leads the human rights organizations in attacking the G9, North American and European.
I should say the G9 is barbecue's sort of confederation of gangs, right. I guess. Yeah. So.
Media are in lockstep. Vice Media heads the vilification campaign, having produced feature articles and 3 video reports that portray Cherizier as a gangster king, creating chaos in Haiti and terrorizing its population.
Nous connaissons que nous sommes forces politiques, nous sommes structures sociopolitiques, sont structures sociopolitiques cap goumé pour moun ki pi mal yo pour nous comment nous capable.
A social political movement that carries around pretty large weapons and gets into gun battles with other.
Okay, I just gotta say this made me laugh out loud. This guy's face. His eyes are all wide, and he's just doing a organization that has guns. Yes, sorry. Keep going.
Social political movements.
The reports rely on claims from the opposition that Cherizier is allied with the government without offering proof.
He's reported to have had links with Moise's government, and the president's death is a major blow to his influence in Haiti.
Worse yet, Vice states as fact that the G9 carried out a massacre in La Saline, an impossibility since the incident happened in November 2018, almost 2 years before the G9 was founded.
The most notorious of these gangs is G9, which has alleged links to Moise's administration. In November 2018, they stormed the opposition-held neighborhood of La Saline, killing more than 70 people during a 14-hour rampage.
In one video, the Vice reporter pursues the chief prosecutor to ask why they haven't arrested Cherizier.
Gabriel de Carmel is the chief prosecutor.
That's the shot.
Oh,
Right
there it
there.
is. Oh, yeah. Well, that's graffiti. Yeah, that's graffiti. That's saying justice for la something.
Oh, okay.
La
You're the
Fito, maybe. Oh,
Prince.
la famille. Oh,
Signed
pour la famille. Mhm.
an arrest warrant
Justice
for
for-
Cherizier last year. But to this day, no arrest has been made.
When Cherizier leads the crew on a tour of Delma 6, the reporter dismisses it as propaganda.
He has his own camera crew and entourage. What followed was a PR tour, impossible for us to take at face value.
But Vice does not find it impossible to take the RNDDH's report at face value.
Cherizier claims he wasn't part of the massacre, but investigations by the National Human Rights Defense Network.
I'll just stop it there, but it just gives sort of a taste of how he's been characterized, and
Right.
just to put my cards on the table. I am no expert on Haiti. Haiti is so complicated. I don't know anything. That's why I'm asking a person like you. Let me phrase the question this way. Among the American-based, quote unquote, expert community, for academics, NGOs, State Department, ex-State Department people, when they get together for lunch and Kim Ives comes up and barbecue, are you considered a super is your take super controversial?
Well, for them, I mean, in academia, as you may have seen on Democracy Now, Jemima Pierre, a good friend of mine, said it was a controversial take, but it depends where you're talking. In the Haitian community, many people here in the diaspora, as well as in Haiti, revere Cherizier, revere what they're doing. And, this goes up and down depending on the moment. His stock went very, very high when he succeeded in pushing Ariel Henry out of power. Now it's a much more difficult period. There have been a lot of, how shall I call them, excesses at the very least, or faux pas maybe, which have been made by a lot of the Vive Ensemble, which is the new coalition he has, troops. These, like in Cherizier's neighborhood, he runs it like the cops, like a military. There's discipline, there's ranks, he's calling out captain or sergeant, etc. So, it's almost military discipline. But a lot of these, especially the criminal gangs, are very anarchic, slouchy guys who do what they want, and, they don't have the oversight and the discipline so this has led to a number of bad things happening, like the hospital being ransacked, the National Library was attacked. But these are blown out of proportion too. They made it sound like the National Library got burned and all these priceless old books got lost. But no, they just took a generator, they took some furniture. There wasn't. So all of this is simply to say that his stock goes up and down, and of course the bourgeois media, especially in Haiti, the oligarchs own most of the radio stations, which is the main way people get news, even though there are a lot of YouTube channels now, et cetera. So people are getting news through YouTube. But, there are many pundits and journalists who, just like in our country, as you know, Daniel, the New York Times, Washington Post, Miami Herald, all the big, the bourgeoisie's papers, they come with a line, and you have the independent press, if you can. So we are, Haiti Liberté is that independent press. We're the radical press of Haiti. So yeah, there'll be a lot of pushback on our position. And what makes it even more complicated is and you have that in every country, you have what's called the ultra left, okay, which is usually, as my stepfather used to say, because the world is round, when you get the ultra left, they come up on the right. And that's what happens, is their purpose is to attack the left. So there's a part of the left which is constantly attacking Haiti Liberté, saying, we're supporting barbecue and he's a monster, he's a devil, da da da. But by and large, the masses, the many people I've found are open. They're watching, they're interested. They don't know if barbecue can do it. They're not sure that it's going to be successful. So they do it. But yes, in that academia, in the foreign policy circles, yeah, I'm considered a real troublemaker.
So I should mention about the kidnapping that I brought up before. These Mennonite missionaries in Haiti were kidnapped. That is interesting because in the film you don't really say. Apparently the missionaries haven't, perhaps wisely, they have not said who kidnapped them, right? And you don't really say. I don't know. Can you say what was it?
Yes. No. It was the Katsamawazo. No,
the 400.
We knew it was Katsamawazo. Yeah, the 400. And now it's a little unclear how they got. Maybe they paid something. Maybe some ransom was paid. We never heard the story. And that may be because they have people in Haiti who they want to protect. Because many people who are kidnapped, they figure, okay, let me just keep quiet about it. I don't want anything more to happen or any reprisals, etc. So Katsamawazo was definitely behind that kidnapping. They made it clear at the time. I think that's how they got on the sanctions list, etc.
I brought that up because barbecue was vehemently saying we are not. There's a clips in the movie where they just yell, we're against kidnapping. No more kidnapping.
And they are. That's the whole point of the G9. And in the first part of that second episode that you saw, you see his initial statement in his powder blue suit, where he says, we formed this to stop kidnapping, to stop rape, to stop crimes against the people in our neighborhoods. We don't want this. So he's the vigilante groups. He's the guy trying to fight the crime. And so, when those missionaries were kidnapped, they claim they just sort of walked off, that they just kind of walked out of the place. So it was never really clear what happened. Recently, we had, as it was discussed in the Democracy Now! Interview, this guy, Your Fellow Arab, a YouTuber, who ended up also being kidnapped by Lamo Sanjou, Katsamawazo. And, he had, sort of a similar experience where, they paid some money, they paid some ransom. I think the whole video is up online. It's not even behind a paywall anymore. I think it was 40 grand that his family put up. And then they wanted more money. And that's when they publicized it. We called Jimmy and said, hey, this guy's been kidnapped. You know about it? He didn't know. And but he looked into it, and basically he read the riot act to Lamor St. Jean and said, listen, I'm going to war with you unless you release this guy. You're making us look bad.
Yeah, I should have mentioned you helped basically free a guy who was kidnapped. So do you and Jemima Pierre disagree on barbecue? Because I heard her, yeah.
Well, she's agnostic, as she said in that. She's we consider her a comrade. She's very incisive and good analyst, and she doesn't want to demonize barbecue or any Haitians, but she's not ready to say he's a revolutionary carrying out a revolution, which is not exactly what we're saying. I mean, we are saying he does have revolutionary intent. We're pretty convinced, or we've seen that in him. Is he going to be successful? Maybe, hopefully. But he's got a long road to hoe. There are many pitfalls along the way. So just to say that it hasn't happened yet, which is how she ended the thing in the Democracy Now! I haven't seen it yet. Well, yeah, we won't see it for quite a while, but is it a genuine process? We are of the opinion it is, but we respect her agnosticism on the matter.
Did she? Because I was watching an interview with her. Did she believe that the oligarchs are paying the criminal gangs?
Well, they are. I mean, that is the criminal gang. They have, I should say, in the past. In the past, that was how the oligarchy and Ariel Henry kept power, was they would distribute money to divide and conquer. And they used a lot of the criminal gangs to attack the G9 gangs. We believe that has stopped now, and that these gangs are on board, and that this alliance, at least for the time being, is functioning. This morning, today, May 10th, there were huge demonstrations in Canoa, in Grand Ravine, in Village de Dieu, in Lower Delma, La Saline, throughout Haiti, throughout the metropolitan area, in all the areas of the Vivre Ensemble. There were huge demonstrations, thousands and thousands of people marching, basically in support of the Vivre Ensemble, from what I could see. I couldn't see a lot of the placards, what was written on them. So, this is a process which, revolutions are not easy, and they can go south, go sour very quickly. So hopefully, though, they'll be able to pull it off. And I think if ever there was a moment that they could do it, I think it's now, because one, there's no legitimate government in Haiti whatsoever, total void. Two, the empire is completely tied up with the problems in Gaza and Israel, Ukraine, Yemen. Their empire is just crumbling everywhere. Anthony Blinken is running around like a fireman trying to put out fires. And they're throwing, I think, a completely inadequate solution at this problem, which is the 200 Kenyans are supposed to arrive in Haiti on the 26th of this month. I don't know what that's going to do. 200 Kenyans, what is that supposed to scare them? These guys aren't scared. They've been fighting. They're battle hardened. They're ready for this. And, basically the Haitian people are sick and tired of foreign military interventions, and I think they're going to fight.
Just briefly what is the impact of the kidnapping of the missionaries been? Has there been like a steep drop off in volunteers coming to Haiti? Have people been scared away?
Well, it's interesting. I was talking to somebody last week or before, and there's a mission right out next to Katsamauzo territory, run by an operation. I forget the name of it, but it's anyway. But it's based out there in Malpass, and they have an understanding apparently with the Katsamauzo, and they're able to do their work. I think there are quite a number of, and it should be said, Jemima has said this. It's Jemima, not Jemima. Jemima has said this on several occasions.
I'm so sorry.
That's fine.
Her.
That's fine.
I'm sorry about that.
No, that's fine. And we've noted this also on a number of our things. This is very much in the Port-au-Prince metropolitan area. If you go to the north, Cape Haitian, you don't really have gangs. Central Plateau, not really. The South, not at all. That's completely gang-free. So this is localized there. It's not all of Haiti. So most of Haiti is still going about its business the way it had. So this is mostly a battle around in what's called often the Republic of Port-au-Prince, because that's where everything has been centralized since the days of the Duvalier dictatorship. It used to be before the Duvalier dictatorship that all the provincial towns and port towns were sort of their own little power. They were almost independent states, if you will. But it was consolidated under Duvalier in Port-au-Prince. So the struggle for power in Port-au-Prince is what we're watching.
Uh, I want to touch on this class element because for a lot of people, their only vision of Haiti is just, slums with garbage. And some people think, oh, there are no rich people at all. But there are.
Oh, yeah. No, they're
and-
very rich. Yeah.
I think, is the richest guy Biggio?
Biggio is supposed to be, yeah. He's a Jewish guy who, Israeli, apparently, who is, yeah, I think he's a billionaire from what I'm told.
I looked into it. I just looked into. I wanted to see where his house was in Haiti, and he lives in Florida.
Yeah, he's got an island. He lives on an island out in the bay. I once had to drop off a housekeeper. I work in the Haitian community, and I dropped her off, and I went into this amazing compound on this island out in the middle of the bay between Miami Beach and Miami. And it turned out it was Biggio's house. And yeah, it's a very impressive mansion.
So I'm curious about who the oligarchs in Haiti are, and I want to be sensitive. We're not trying to demonize, but one striking thing of the documentary is when you show these guys. Maybe some of them are mixed race. I don't know, but it seems like they're not. How should I put this? They don't seem to be. They're like not black. How do I say this? They're not black.
Well, no. Okay, no.
Or maybe they are. I don't know.
No. This is okay. So the affranchis that I mentioned in the historical part of our discussion became, and this you saw in a lot of Latin America, what was called the comprador bourgeoisie, right? Which means an import-export bourgeoisie. They're not a real bourgeoisie in the traditional sense where they make factories and, make widgets that you can then sell, in the country and abroad. But they were basically the ones that would buy the refrigerators and dishwashers and cars from abroad and sell the coffee and sugar and cocoa that Haiti was producing. So import-export. And originally in the 19th century, beginning of the 20th, that tended to be the descendants of this, what is sometimes called the mulatto elite. I don't like that term because it's not racial. There are blacks in it, whites, but it was called the mulatto elite. And at the beginning of the 20th century, you had the Second World War, the First World War, and the dissolution of the Ottoman Empire. And so many refugees left Lebanon, Syria, Palestine, and they ended up in the Caribbean, but many in Haiti, especially the Lebanese, who spoke French. And so they often arrived, and it's quite famous. They arrived just with big backpacks, and they would go around with all their wares and a chair or something in a backpack on their back and live in a little tent, and they'd sell on the street. But they were very good at sales, and they grew to become big bourgeois families. So they sort of displaced the old mulatto elite, the old from Haitian independence days. And so in the course of the last century, they've become the predominant group in this class. They in this ruling class, in the bourgeoisie. So they're almost like they're foreigners. And Cherizier, I've argued with him a little bit about it because he calls them the Syriano-Libanais, the Syrian Lebanese. Like they're foreigners. They're not really Haitian, etc. But they are Haitian, and there have been. There was a very famous Palestinian bourgeois called Antoine Ismeri, who was actually executed in 1993 during the first coup d'état. So, and he was very fierce against the greed and depredations and corruption of the bourgeoisie. So this Syriano-Lebanese children, descendants, and they're not just from Syria and Lebanon and Palestine, but also you have Germans. There's the Brandt family. You have French, still, and so all of this is, why you noted there was a difference, apparently racial, and to some extent they do. There is some intermixing and so forth, but they tend to have their own circles and clubs and relations, and a lot like the ruling classes of most countries, even this country in the U.S. A lot, even though they've done their best to dress it up and make it more integrated, but it still remains a largely white ruling class.
Yeah, I just want to make clear, I'm not trying to demonize anyone.
Understand, totally.
It's very
we're just talking realities. Yeah,
it's very interesting. A lot of people don't know this. The Lebanese immigrants to, like, the richest guy in Mexico, Carlos Slim, I believe, is a Lebanese Mexican guy. And I was just looking at Biggio. His family is from Aleppo in Syria, Sephardic Jewish family. It's very interesting stuff. So there are nice neighborhoods.
But I believe he represents Israel. I think he's the consul general for Israel, if I'm not mistaken.
I was just saying his family is...
right. Mm-hmm.
They didn't come from Israel. They immigrated in 1896. Yeah, so does most of the elite in Haiti now live like in Florida?
Yep, I would say so. I mean, a lot of the elite are born in Florida or in the States, like one of the Bulos, Reginald Bulos, that you hear about in the film. He was born in Miami, from what I understand. He went back and got his Haitian citizenship afterwards, but was born American. And so you have I would say probably 80 to 90% of the bourgeoisie has houses either in the United States, New York, Miami, New York and Florida principally, or the Dominican Republic. So yeah, they keep a pied-à-terre, as they say in French, a crash pad, a house. They're usually tremendous palaces, fortified in the hills of Port-au-Prince, but they also, almost all of them, have houses and green cards or citizenship in the United States or Canada, or France or Spain or Dominican Republic.
So I want to sort of wrap up on this question about the U.S.'s role and empire and the relationship with Haiti. Because one of the central questions that made me interested in this is there seems to be two conflicting narratives. One says that, the France and America have never forgiven Haiti for the slave revolt. And then on the other hand, I'll see people say, the Haitians really need help from America, and America's really abandoned it. And so what is the reality today? I just wanted to play a clip of actually the president, Joseph Biden. Mm-hmm. I think you could probably guess the one I'm going to play. It's become famous. And this is from...
Oh, yes, right. The interview, right, yeah. Sinking in the ocean. Right,
yeah, from the 90s.
If Haiti, a god-awful thing to say, if Haiti just quietly sunk into the Caribbean or rose up 300 feet, it wouldn't matter a whole lot in terms of our interest.
And it's sort of a cruel way of putting that. And then I want to read this tweet from the journalist Amy Willens, who you might know. Yes. This is from April 2nd. Haitian police need bolstering. Haitian fire department needs hiring, bolstering, training. People need housing. Works project programs need to be instituted. Where's the Clinton Bush fund for Haiti now? Where are all the caring Americans? Remember, Haitians are as real as Ukrainians. So, what is the truth? First of all, is there any? I mean, nobody. Anthony Blinken, is not like, ooh, we gotta get back at them for that slave revolt. I mean, but what is the status with these questions?
Okay, here's the reality: is that we are the number one rapacious capitalist power on the planet. And the profits of our capitalists are our number one priority, no matter what window dressing, verbiage, slogans, posturing we do. At the end of the day, the reason we support Israel, the reason we supported Ariel Henry, the reason we support any dictator anywhere, any bad situation, is because it's profitable. It serves our business interests. So despite all the hand-wringing and the sad faces that Anthony Blinken makes, he's trying to keep Haiti as a U.S. neo-colony. And it is on the verge of becoming a Cuba, of becoming a part of the Chinese Belt and Road Initiative, and getting out of the US orbit and going into the multipolar world's orbit. And that is why they're coming with the Global Fragility Act, passed under Trump in 2019, total bipartisan support. But we are fighting an existential war against the emerging multipolar world headed by China and Russia. Russia with all the resources and China with all the factory muscle. Okay, so the American public, which generally speaking, and I don't think it's insulting to anybody, but they are not at the highest intellectual and cultural level on the planet. They tend to be fairly ignorant about many things, but they have good hearts and they don't like to see starving kids with bloated bellies, and which is why the NGOs make a lot of money by sending them, save this child's life, and and they give, and many people poured out their wallets and their love for Haiti during the earthquake of 2010, January 12th, 2010. $13 billion was raised. But what happened with that money? That money was taken over by Bill Clinton. And was it distributed to the Haitian people and given to the, poor? If you divide 13 billion by 12 million Haitians, that means just about every Haitian could have gotten $1,000 in his pocket. Instead, what did it do? It built a sweatshop complex on some of Haiti's most fertile farmland in the north, far from the earthquake zone, in a place called Caracol. And it built a luxury hotel called the Oasis in Port-au-Prince, so the businessmen could come there and, make deals and invest in Haiti. Because for Bill Clinton, he has a slogan for the Clinton Foundation: you can do well doing good, So his idea was that it has to be trickled down. The capitalists have to come invest. It's capitalism is going to save Haiti, but it's not true. History has shown it. It's destroyed Haiti. It's crippled Haiti. It's sucked the blood out of Haiti. Capitalism does not do what it said. If you look right across the Windward Passage, it's at Cuba, which kicked the capitalists out. They let them come in, but they're under Cuban control. You have universal education. Everything's free, from medical care to schooling, et cetera, et cetera. So another world is possible. And the way the U.S. looks at it, the U.S. government and the bourgeoisie, which owns the U.S. government, this is a way to make money, $5 a day. That's all they need. And we wrote Haiti Liberté, was the recipient of the WikiLeaks documents WikiLeaks gave us to treat the documents in 2010 that they got from Chelsea Manning about Haiti. And the US government was fighting the Haitian government to keep the minimum wage at $3 a day instead of $5 a day, is what they were asking now. So, this is the reality, is that the government is basically, as we all know, in the pockets of the billionaires and millionaires, and the people, our neighbors, the people we live among, may have good hearts and bleeding hearts and feel for the Haitian people. So I don't want to belittle that, and thank you all for solidarity, but don't be fooled. Your government does not have Haiti's best interests at heart.
Let me just play devil's advocate.
Please.
Does Haiti need, if a guy was like, I do want to build a factory in Haiti, would that be good for Haiti?
Yeah, you could. What the Cubans do is they say to the capitalists of the world, listen, we don't have all that capital. We invite you to come and invest, but we're going to own 51% of whatever company you set up in this country. So if we decide to do something, we can. So yes, I think if you wanted to come and are willing to give a Haitian government, which is serious and real and popular, 51%, yes, that's fine. But in the current conditions, it's just a free for all. It's just sharks feeding on this carcass, and so Haiti needs a revolutionary government. It needs a government which has the people's interests at heart, that wants change, wants the people to have schools, hospitals, roads, electricity, sanitation, internet, etc., and is not interested in just filling their pockets, because that's what so many of the politicians in Haiti, just like this country, do. They're just feeding at the trough, making money for themselves, maybe throwing out some demagogic statements, but at the end of the day, they're not doing what we see happening through much of the world. We see it in Cuba or Venezuela or Nicaragua, Bolivia. The countries are bit by bit taking control of their own destinies and no longer becoming simple satellites of the U.S. empire.
So China has it made overtures about
it has
Haiti?
It has. On the contrary, they've been trying to get Haiti to Haiti is one of only 11 countries in the world, 193 in the United Nations, only 11 countries, including the Vatican, which is considered a country for whatever reason, which recognized Taiwan as China. Okay, so this dates back to the 1949 revolution, when the U.S., tried to convince the whole world that the real China was Taiwan, and that other big country was just a renegade country. But since 1971 and the rapprochement with China, engineered by Kissinger, the Chinese have every country except Haiti, and I think Guatemala. I believe it's Guatemala. There's only 2 or 3 that are over 1 million people. Belize, I think maybe 2. Haiti, Guatemala, Belize. But most of the others are these micro states, in the Caribbean and in the Pacific, little countries of 100,000, 50,000 people. So China has basically said to Haiti, in 2017, we'll invest $4.7 billion to overhaul Port-au-Prince, to rebuild your sanitation, your electricity, your roads, your buildings, everything. I mean, it would be more today, of course, but, Taiwan and the U.S. are hell-bent on keeping that from happening. So,
is there a fear like they'll build a Chinese base there or
well,
something?
yeah, I
Okay.
mean, I don't think China is even looking like that because, China's approach is not like the US approach, which is, yes, you build a base and you protect it and you project your military. That's why we have 800 military bases around the world, is guarding our empire. But, it's collapsing under, the empire's collapsing under the cost of maintaining all this, which we maintain simply by printing money. That is,
so it's just the loss of influence, the idea of
loss. It's the loss of the empire. Yeah, basically, every time a country buys into the Belt and Road Initiative, China's win-win solution, they are buying into independence from the US. They don't have to go and build factories where people work for $5 a day, not an hour, $5 a day. So this is going to be disastrous for US manufacturers because right now they're building a lot of things in China for the equivalent of $5 a day, but the people there are cared for. The Chinese are not living in the conditions that Haitians are living in. The government, takes care of their health care and their education, and they have all kinds of opportunities, et cetera. And it's a different reality. But in Haiti, it's like it's a slave colony. It's a slave labor colony. And the US wants to keep that, especially since we may be going to war with China soon. The US sees its only salvation in destroying this nation, which is essentially overtaking it. And so Haiti is one of the principal battle lines, and it's right, 600 miles southeast of Miami.
So, going forward to wrap up, you talked about the situation with Kenya is really funny. So basically, this is my interpretation. The Blinken and Biden are like, okay, this is a mess in Haiti. But it's election year, and we don't really want to deal with this. We're not going to have a bunch of U.S. troops there, and one of them might get shot. And they don't want that. They're like, what can we do? Hey, Kenya, why don't you here? Right. You can test your military strength, and this.
Well, there's two parts of it. Yes, the election is part of it. But the other thing is, in 1915, what the U.S. did when it was trying to take over Haiti for its growing empire, it simply invaded. Then it plucked a senator out of the Haitian Senate and made him the president and had him invite them in. So it was so transparent, we come in and then we go through this charade. So they're trying to avoid doing something so obvious, so patently manipulative. Again, we're in the age of woke, right? So everything has to be sort of optics. And so the Global Fragility Act, the way it works is that a government in Haiti, an elected government, will invite the U.S. to come in under a bilateral arrangement and set up military security, anti-fragility measures, and basically set up a U.S. military outpost in Haiti. And this will keep the lid on, people like barbecue, et cetera, rising up and challenging the status quo. So they don't want to bring in the 82nd Airborne, install a government which has an election, and then that government invites in the GFA. It's going to be much better optically if you have another country, even better, an African country, come in, stabilize the situation, carry out the demonstration election that we mentioned earlier, and put in the US puppet, who then will sign on the dotted line of the GFA and invite the US in. So that's the way they're trying to do it, in addition to the election thing.
In Kenya? What are the Kenyans think?
No, the Kenyans are against it. They've already stopped it. And in fact, this whole thing is completely a violation of the Haitian Constitution, which says that under no circumstances can foreign military troops be based in Haiti. This is the 1987 Constitution. The Kenyan Constitution says that, well, you could send the Kenyan police, but you have to have a bilateral agreement. Well, this agreement was signed originally by Ariel Henry. He never got back to Haiti because Cherizier organized the uprising that kept him out. And now they've concocted this new 9-member presidential commission, which has agreed with what Henri did before, but it's just as patently illegitimate because none of them are elected. They're not elected governments, and the Haitian people don't approve of this. So this is it's a violation of Kenyan law, and it's a violation of international law, because this is not the United Nations, who is the charter says that you can send in a peacekeeping force basically to maintain international peace and security. What does that mean? That means conflict between states. If Dominican Republic were intervening in Haiti or vice versa, you could send in the UN to preserve international peace and security. This is a purely internal matter. So I explained this at the UN. I said, listen, this is no place in the charter. There's nothing international about this. This is a purely internal matter. The Russians and the Chinese understood this. They abstained from this vote. But what the US rammed through the Security Council was a resolution to bless this force, which is completely outside the UN. There's no UN oversight of it. It's just a US proxy force, just like Ukraine or Israel. It's the U.S. calling the shots. So
it sounds like it might go as well as the pier in Gaza.
Right. As well as the pier in Gaza, right? Yeah.
You mentioned this guy Daniel Foote. I can't.
Foote.
Mm-hmm. I can't resist drama, so I just wanted to see what is your beef with this guy? Or who is it? He comes up with
he says a lot of good things.
Okay.
But he's, how could I call him? I could call him a dissident. And he's very articulate, and he's kind of a likable guy. I think he's very genial. But, for him, the solution is the Montana Accord, who is, I could say, the lead agent, I could say the flagship of this presidential council. And it's essentially the enlightened bourgeoisie of Haiti, who have no real independence in their bones. Their whole thing is we have to please the US. So he is for that sector, or he is somehow allied with that sector. So we are not, we say, listen, the power needs to go to the people, to the grassroots, to the masses. And that's essentially what the vivre ensemble is, with all its warts, with all its faux pas and problems. But fundamentally, this is the Haitian people armed. And this is different than other revolutions we've seen, but we think revolutionary change is necessary. Getting the US involved, and Montana has totally signed in. This presidential council, just to review for your listeners and viewers, was basically assembled by Anthony Blinken using 3 CARICOM countries, Jamaica, Barbados, and Guyana, as the front people. And the idea is that they had to agree to the foreign military intervention, the MSS as it's called, the Multinational Security Support Mission, MSS. That was the sine qua non of everything. That was the condition for participation in this council. So the U.S. set this a condition for participation in the council, so that if the council could decide. So anyway, Montana is kind of their principal hope in it. The other ones were there to sort of show the diversity or show the rest of the political class's presence. But the point being that, so Daniel Foote is basically a supporter of this, I could say, liberal response, not a revolutionary response, but a liberal response to the crisis.
So just to clarify, it's not like you're saying Daniel Foote is this evil guy. You know,
no,
you just disagree.
He's a liberal. Yeah, he's a liberal.
You disagree with him. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing I forgot to ask about, which is the bizarre assassination of Moise, and we don't have to get into the whole answer, but the phone calls. I mean, I'm sort of allergic to conspiracy theories, but these phone calls you mentioned from the person that was behind it. So, what do you think happened with that bizarre assassination?
Okay, so clearly, Moise, as the film will explain to viewers who watch it, Moise came in with the bourgeoisie's blessing because they thought he would just be a puppet. But he had a kind of a nationalist and popular agenda, which was to do improvements, above all in the countryside. He was from the countryside. He was a peasant, basically, from the north. And what happened was he thought he was going to have a lot of Petrocaribe money because Venezuela had provided Haiti with basically an investment account of $2 billion from the sale of cheap Venezuelan oil, which was a loan, but payable over 25 years at 1% interest. And the Petrocaribe deal, that money pot, was basically cut off by Trump, who was waging war on Venezuela, and they blocked the central bank and they couldn't get money. More likely
John Bolton.
Yeah, John Bolton, but no, Trump too. Anyway, they sank Petrocaribe. So suddenly there was Moise, newly in power. He came into power same time as Trump, 2017, and he had no money. So he turned to the bourgeoisie and he said, listen, I got to do these things for the people. And bourgeoisie said, we're not working for you. You're working for us, And so immediately a war broke out between Jovenel and the bourgeoisie. So in particular, this Reginald Boulos, who we mentioned earlier, and a guy called Dmitry Vorb of the Vorb family, two bourgeois families. But others as well. There were other members of the bourgeoisie who were equally disenchanted and dissatisfied with Moise, Jovenel Moise. So the war was on, and so they were definitely, I say definitely, I bet my bottom dollar on it, involved in funding it. But I think that the US government also had a hand in it, because there's no way, to me, with the fourth largest US embassy in the world based in Haiti, and this thing is bristling with antennas, I think they're monitoring every electron that moves in the country, that they could not have been aware of this plot and what was going on. They'd been talking. One of their, they knew what was going to happen. So either they let it happen or they had a hand in it. And I think that's also because Jovenel was starting to have real second thoughts, even though he became sort of the hood ornament on their tank that was attacking Venezuela. He was beginning to have second thoughts about the whole thing and was making overtures to Venezuela and, above all, making overtures to Russia. And God knows, after Russia could come China. So I think at that point, the U.S. said, okay, this thing's got to, we got to get this guy out of the way. He started to be not seen as an asset, but as a liability. And even Pamela White, who was an ambassador at the time, and I cited this in my UN speech, said, we have to choose the prime minister option because the president is just a figurehead, right? He appoints a prime minister who is the actual executive power. So they had to eliminate Jovenel. They put in the prime minister, who was this Ariel Henry, and they basically were running the country for 3 years with Ariel Henry, but the people were not having it. So to me, his assassination was a case, again, of a proxy force. They hired Colombian mercenaries, as Cuba exports doctors, Colombia exports mercenaries. So they hired these mercenaries, they came in and they killed the guy.
Well, talk about these phone calls, though. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, the guy called Joseph Felix Badiou, who was some sort of, he wasn't the ringleader, but he was some sort of sergeant in charge of organizing things. And so he was running these Colombians who came into the room. They didn't really know Jovenel, and they said, okay, we got this guy here who is, black, about 5'10" and skinny. And Badiou said, yeah, that's the guy, ice him. And they did, shot him 12 times. Badiou, the whole thing wasn't well thought out. Maybe they thought the people were all going to carry them on their shoulders to the, tarmac, and they would fly home heroes. But no, everybody immediately responded. They were mostly captured. 3 of them were killed by the Colombians. And I lost my train of thought where I was going with that. Well, we were saying,
didn't he call?
Oh yeah, the phone calls. Yeah. So now Badiou went into hiding. He disappeared. But in the course of 2021, people started. There were a lot of rumors, and it seems they were true, that Badiou was being harbored by Ariel Henry, either at his very residence or in another residence, but he was being protected. But the thing that really sealed the deal was there was a phone record of Badiou making multiple calls to Ariel Henry before the assassination, but in the immediate aftermath of it, the assassination happened around 1 o'clock in the morning on July 7th, 2021. At 4 o'clock in the morning, Ariel had 2 phone calls with Badiou, amounting to 7 minutes total. 7 minutes, not just a short little call. And this was pretty much proof positive that, there was some involvement of Ariel in the thing.
So would be like, correct me if I'm wrong, this would be like LBJ calling Oswald in the morning and then in the afternoon or something like
well,
that.
Oswald was sort of the patsy. I mean, they had a bunch of patsies.
Yeah, of course.
This sort of a very, a number of unfortunate guys who they put. But yeah, it would be like LBJ calling who was the CIA guy, Dulles, Alan Dulles, and something who was some sort of architect of the LBJ killing. So yeah, that's
very strange. I want to pull back because you mentioned multipolar world.
Mm-hmm.
You're a smart guy. You clearly have some interesting thoughts about this moment. So, big picture. To frame this, let me play devil's advocate. I've heard people say, oh, these people like Russia and China. They think this multipolar world's going to be rainbows and unicorns. Oh, the bad American empire is gone. But what you're going to find out is actually the sort of return to this brutal world where Russia will be conquering Ukraine, China will conquer Taiwan, and countries will be able to do things that are sort of brutal. So I'm playing devil's advocate. Maybe how do you respond to those kind of fears, and what's your take?
Well, yeah, they used to call it the Pax Americana, right? You know, the American peace. That is a little bit like under Duvalier. There was one strong man, and he had his force, and basically you did what they said, even though they could come into your store and walk off with a pair of sneakers or a stereo and not have to pay. So that was the Pax Americana. Yeah, there may end up being more turbulence in the world, more but at the end of the day, I feel humanity is learning many lessons to some extent thanks to the internet, to social media. We're watching this genocide in Gaza happen in real time in front of our eyes. We're seeing, I think, many people, even Republicans in this country, see that this Ukraine war is essentially a war by the U.S. using NATO and Ukraine to attack Russia. This is not Russia attacking Ukraine. It's defensive. They didn't want to go in. They were doing everything possible, Minsk agreements, et cetera. We could go into the whole Ukraine question, but clearly there's a new world emerging. And I think that this is the first time we've seen it since the dawn of capitalism, back with the French Revolution and the American revolutions in the 2 centuries ago, where you have a communist country, China, and a formerly communist country with many people with communist sensibilities in it, as well as a pink tide happening in Latin America. And I think humanity, my mentor, Ben Dupuy, used to say that, and Marx said that, he said, the new society will be born out of the ashes of the old. And I think we stand a very, very strong chance that we will see nuclear war, because the US is seeing an existential threat to its power now. And hopefully it's not going to be one that causes nuclear winter and kills our whole planet and species. But I think that will basically make people who climb out of the rubble to see that we need to finish with this capitalist approach and create, the win-win world. We no longer have to be wolves fighting over, pieces of meat. There is enough to go around. There are, we have the computers and the technology and the knowledge and, spacecraft and, they talk about 0-point energy. There's all kinds of things which are possible, and we don't need to be tearing ourselves. And as Mark said, just to finish on that, he said that will really the beginning of human history. We will have moved beyond the stage of savagery and really enter human history when we're no longer eating each other and profiting off each other and exploiting each other, oppressing each other, as is the case up until now.
I just can't resist because you seem to have a vision for this. What do you think Israel's going to collapse and it'll be sort of like a one-state thing in like 50 years?
I think Israel, I do think Israel is mortally wounded. It may go on for a while. I don't know. But to me, the Zionist project, I don't see really how it can survive. It is pouring gasoline on the fire with what's going on in Rafah as we speak. And I think to some extent it's like an anvil tied around the neck of the U.S., and it's bringing it right to the bottom of the ocean. So I, don't have a crystal ball, and of course, history can often be confounding and not happen as we expect. But I really do not see Israel in its current Zionist form being able to survive this.
Do you think it'll be
period.
like a one-state sort of thing, or?
Well, I feel that I mean, I'm of the opinion that that's the only, so you can only have a democratic state. I don't think the two-state solution can survive. I think that was a half step, which would never really survive. But I think a one state, and hell, I mean, you probably know better than me. It was a one state before, and it's not like it wasn't. There was some harmony there. There was, it wasn't what it is now, where you have this apartheid situation. But I definitely think that a democratic state in what is Palestine, Israel now is the best solution.
You've taught me so much. I just hope for the best for the Haitian people. I mean, they seem to have amazing spirit as a people, and they've gone through so much. So just hoping for the best for them, basically.
Well, thank you, Daniel. And for your listeners and viewers, we did actually have an article where we compare Haiti and Palestine as really two sort of iconic countries. They can find that on our website, Haiti Liberté. That's liberty with an E on the end.com. And it's called, I forget the title of it, but it's Haiti and Palestine. And they both are two iconic countries, Palestine for the Eastern Hemisphere and Haiti for the Western. So hopefully...
Are you going to be continuing with new updates of Another Vision going forward?
Yes, as I was saying earlier, Dan and I are about to release the 5th episode. Just to say, Another Vision, yes, please go. You'll find it on the Haiti Liberté YouTube channel. You can find it on Twitter now. It's on the Uncaptured channel as well. On the channel of Redacted, you will find a thing called Special Report on Haiti, which is from November 2022. That we call episode 4. That really explains what was happening in November 2022. And then this episode that we come out, we're calling it episode 5. It's going to be their Intervention or Revolution, I think is going to be the title. And that is going to be about a 50-minute piece right now. As soon as I finish with you, I'm going to go look at the latest draft of it, and hopefully that will be out within a week. And you'll look for it on our channels.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you for this interview, and it's been a pleasure.